Welcome to this week's EMBN show, and today we're going to be looking at all the latest cutting-edge mountain bike tech. After all, what works on a mountain bike works on an e-bike too, right, Chris?
It's all transferable, that's for sure, Steve.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined by Doddy later on in the show.
And also you've got some rad videos coming up from those wildcats of the e-mountain bike world as well.
Meow. Okay, let's get this show rolling. First of all, Chris, I need to tell you, I got taken out by an e-mountain bike on the weekend.
Really?
Oh, I was minding my own business in the woods. The next thing, bosh!
Oh, God.
Anyway, moving on. YT, great video from Ethanel, or Ethanel, out in Utah.
Yeah, one of Utah's finest free riders. He placed 7th at the recent Red Bull Rampage, but he was out there shredding afterwards on his YT decoy. Yeah. And this is an absolutely epic video. Big 270 on the hips, doing big suicide now-handed drops, absolutely shredding it down on there.
Chris, you're the free rider. How long before we see an e-bike Rampage?
I don't know if there'd be any advantage going down on an e-bike, but for sure, I think if you're training, I think those guys to get repeated hits on those lines, it would be the ultimate tool for the job.
Talking about trains, Josh Bryson and his crowd have been in Pila recently, shredding down to the woods.
The can of waves, guys.
Can of waves, can of worms, more like. I tell you what, I mean, this just shows that there is no difference between mountain bikes and e-mountain bikes. Absolutely. Just having a hell of a time. I mean, I've ridden those trails. Yeah. I mean, slashing around some of those berms, great fun.
Some of the biggest drifts I've ever seen on an e-mountain bike.
Very, very impressive, guys. So here is that maestro of mechanics, the wizard of tech, Doddy. Doddy, great to have you on here.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a monthly format on the EMBN show, the month in tech, because let's face it, tech on e-mountain bikes and tech on mountain bikes, it's largely the same thing, right?
100%. And yeah, you could be missing out on some good stuff. Yeah. You haven't got myself and Henry snooping it out.
Yeah, so don't forget to tune in every month for Doddy's hotspot on tech on the show. Doddy, what have you got this month?
Okay, I've got a whole bunch of things, a bit of a show and tell for you today. We'll try and keep it fairly concise. First up is the new Stans dart system. So if you run tubeless, you might be familiar with those tubeless repair like slugs, you know, the little wormy things that you stab into the tyre. Yeah. Now the problem is most of those have derived from motorcycles.
Well, they used to be called dog turds on motorcycles when on trials tyres, but then the tyre is way bigger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stans have developed this system. It comes in a little case where you've got two ready loaded. You've got a valve core remover on the end. And the cool thing about this is the size of the actual dart that you stab in is really small. So it's designed for the sort of holes you get on a bicycle tyre.
Wow, that's
the second thing is the actual sort of the arrow head, if you were, like the lance to stab in. That's made from carbon. It's really, really strong. So it's good for repeated use. And the third thing that's really cool, and this is the best thing, is the actual feathered rubber that they use on these reacts with the solution in Stans fluid, and it forms an instant rubber bond.
Now, if you're using this, Doddy, would you be using a CO2 canister or a pump to pump the tyre back up?
Depends on the situation. If you're in a race, you can use CO2. Obviously, it's faster, but CO2 can react with some tyre sealants.
Whoa, really?
You think what a tyre sealant is supposed to do? It's supposed to react with natural air, which has elements of CO2 and oxygen and all sorts of other stuff in it. So you can basically reduce the life of your sealant. So a pump is best. Yeah. But CO2 to get you back in the race.
That is really, really cool. And it's so compact, Doddy, isn't it?
Yeah, and you get like a little tray that comes with preloaded with loads more the heads on there. So it's 5 in this case, ready to go. Super easy to use and very effective.
Doddy, that's going to be on top of my list, I think, for things to get in my backpack.
Okay, all right, then moving on. Yeah, so the next one's actually a bit of information. So Shimano have got a patent out, which has been spotted online for ABS brake technology. So we don't really know where this is going yet, but this has got to be interesting stuff. So I'm aware that Bosch have experimented with this before. I think you did something at Eurobike.
I did a feature with Brakeforce 1 from Eurobike last year.
Brakeforce 1.
Yeah, I'll drop a link down below to follow on to that. But ABS. Doddy, I'm not sure about ABS.
I'm not either, I've got to say.
It's like when you're going down the road in your car and you get on a muddy bit on the side of the road and
you feel it.
It really, really stresses me out. Yeah. I mean, and why would you want ABS? I mean, does that mean an end to skids?
No, you're always going to be able to skid, aren't you? I think there's always a way. I just think looking at the bigger picture, the instant thing I can see it being really good for would be commuter bikes and road bikes, where it's easy to accidentally lock the brakes up. So there's going to be a good safety benefit, and I'm sure We haven't figured it out yet, but there's going to be benefits for mountain bikes, e-bikes, for every type of bicycle.
Yeah, I guess watch the space on that one then, Doddy.
Next up.
Doddy, I'm not sure about this. It looks like a piece of children's playground equipment.
Oh, well, an adult-sized child would say something like that, Stephen. Right, so let's get to the facts. So this is from a brand new company called Trust Performance. They make 2 forks, they make the Message, and they make the Shout. So this has 178 millimeters of travel. You can use it on 27.5 and 29-inch wheels. And as you can tell, it's a very different looking fork. It's full carbon, it's a linkage design, and the wheel moves up and back. So you think when you're riding down that rough trail, the bumps come at you from the front. Yeah? So it's designed to cope with them, just like the rear suspension on a bike. And they tune the linkage on this to cope with those type of hits. On the inside of the legs, you've got 2 dampers, essentially. Well, you've got a damper in one leg and an air chamber in the other leg.
All right, okay. So who's designed this fork?
Right, well, there's 3 masterminds behind it, but 2 of them in particular you might be aware of. So for the carbon technology, it's Jason Shears, and he was essentially behind the NV wheel program. Yeah, so like arguably one of the finest carbon engineers is behind this, and one of the finest suspension engineers as well. Dave Weagle, who you might know from the DW.
Old Weagle, yeah, or the Iron Horse Sunday. Yeah,
some classic bikes.
Yeah.
Now, it's definitely a divider. I posted a shot of it on my Nuke Proof a while back on Instagram, and let's just say it's a Marmite fork. But I've got to say, it's got some really interesting tech behind it. And the most obvious thing is the fact, because it's a linkage fork, it has some significant benefits that go with it if you ignore the looks aside, which I know people have an issue with. So one of them is it doesn't dive. Basically, it doesn't dive under braking. Like, that's just how it is. They didn't build that into the fork. That's how it works.
And that's really important, Doddy, because when you're on a mountain bike, like weight transfer leads to loads of fatigue in your body.
100%,
So if you've got something that doesn't dive, then that's definitely, I can see the advantages of that.
Yeah, so you essentially get more traction and more stability. And one of the things that happens on a telescopic fork is as the fork compresses, the trail, which is the distance basically between your contact patch and your steering axis, that shortens, and that's why your bike feels more nervous as you go through the trail. The trail on this mechanical trail increases.
Right.
So under compression, it gets more stable.
Crikey.
Right. So on flatter terrain, doesn't do too much. When you start pushing this into rough stuff and steep switchbacks, it's phenomenal what it can do.
Doddy, I think this is, as much as it is a piece of children's playground equipment, I need to go and ride it.
I think so as well.
I can't go dissing it or saying it's brilliant until I've ridden it.
Now, one thing that is important to say, currently it's not e-bike certified, but it has exceeded the standards necessary. So if you're an e-bike rider and you're looking at a fork like this, you do need to know that first, but they are looking at getting it certified. So
okay, so I will have no doubt that I'll see this on your new Levo sometime soon, Doddy.
I think I definitely want to try it, but I also want the Don and Henry to have a go on it before I strap it onto that bike, because I've been riding it on other bikes in the meantime.
Cool.
Right, let's jump into the next thing, and I know you're going to love this. So this is clothing tech. So this is a brand new product.
Well, how brand new?
From Gore, literally brand new. It's still got the labels in it, Steve.
Right, okay.
Right, so this is a new range called Infinium. Now, Gore wear are really famous for having like their Gore-Tex membrane within the fabric. Typically, the active fabric is what is used even in mountain biking.
So you use active shell. I mean, I use
That's
Windstopper. You got Gore-Tex. I mean,
Windstopper is the other material used in this, so they've combined two.
Haven't you got a grey jacket which uses this material?
Yes.
So this is what material?
It's fully waterproof, Gore-Tex active.
Right.
Basically.
Ooh, that's really soft, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is really tough, really waterproof, and it's on the shoulders, the arms, top of the hood, and the small of the back.
Can I just try it on, please, Doddy?
Yeah, the areas that you essentially really need that waterproof protection. And then the aim is you get a much better cut by using the much more softer fabric that's more form-fitting of the Windstopper against your body. So it's much more breathable by doing this.
I tell you what, I'm going to enjoy Doddy coming on this show every month to get all this new clothes.
I'm going to regret this, aren't I?
Oh, nice one, Doddy. That's a... God, that feels... That's...
But you can never get a waterproof jacket to fit like that.
That is amazing.
That's the thing. So I've designed this for someone that's going to be riding at very high intensity, that needs the bare minimum in keeping waterproof and the maximum in breathability.
What's it called? Infinium?
Infinium. Yeah, so that's the hybrid technology jacket.
Okay, Doddy, bottom line, what's the price on a jacket like this? I mean, the fit is insane.
The price is too expensive for you, Steve.
Now, in the comments this week, well, we actually got an email in from Cameron Weil, who actually met on the services on the M6. Now, Cameron was off his bike for some time and got inspired by a video which we did on mental health. And I think it's good to see. It just takes that little bit of inspiration from something to get you back out on the hills. So, good going there, Cameron.
Yeah, good work. Nice to hear. Meanwhile, we had a load of feedback in from our latest video about emoto versus e-mountain bike, didn't we?
We did indeed.
So Bruce M, he's saying, I think which end you're coming from makes a big difference in your opinion about these machines. Coming from an unpowered mountain bike, it's easy to see why you'd gravitate towards the e-mountain bike. However, if you approach this from the perspective of gas-powered dirt bike riders, these e-motos offer some truly exciting potential.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the perspective. And we did come at it from an e-mountain bike perspective.
Angle, for sure, yeah.
But, you know, we've ridden motorbikes as well. But yeah, I think we showed, you know, what the strengths and weaknesses of each were.
Yeah.
I think the conclusion was, in this instance, was that the e-mountain bike was a more versatile tool for the terrain that we were riding. I guess you're right. You know, we could be taking it around a smoothish motocross track, and yeah, it might have been better.
Yeah, I think the G12, if you were to ride that on a smooth track, it would be a hell of a fun compared to an e-mountain.
Hell of a fun.
Hell of a lot of
Now
fun.
that is proper Somerset talk. But enough about us. What have you guys been doing out and about in the woods and the hills for the last week, Chris?
Well, we've had an amazing edit in from David, and he's from Hanover. He's on his 2018 Kenevo, and he said...
Hanover was in what country?
Germany. Oh, see? He's had his Kenevo exactly 10 months. He just turned 35. He wanted to have a load of fun hitting jumps, stairs, bike parks, taking his son out, and he looks like he's been absolutely killing it. Check this video.
It is a cool edit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of street in there, a bit of jumping.
Yeah, but a bike park.
Taking a bit of inspiration from me as well. Look at that.
Well, of course, of course, with his bottom hanging out from his jeans,
Yeah, but looking really good on that Kenevo. Some really cool jumps, and I'm loving that street stuff. So yeah,
keep the crack going on. Now, where in the world this week comes from northern Finland. I do believe that is actually Lapland. Now, Lapland is obviously where Father Christmas comes from.
That's where he resides. That's right.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay, right. This is from Jonas on his Canyon Spectralon, out in the snow. Crikey, is the snow hit there already, Jonas?
Look how deep those ruts are as well.
What tyres you got on? What tyre pressure you running?
I had so much fun riding in the snow last year. It was so good on the e-bike. Big drifts and sliding around.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Great, nice one. Guys, keep on sending your photographs wherever in the world you are. And like I said, whether it's sunny Australia, snowy Finland, or wet and boggy Wales, keep them coming. It's the Bike Vault time. Loads of cool pictures from all over the world from you guys this week. Starting off this week with Chris down in Winchester, and he's got his cube there loaded up with fenders, out for a big ride in the hills.
Nice bit of bike packing going on. Next up is Martin. He's at Wexy Trails Park. He's got his cube upside down. That looks pretty sweet as well.
Talking about upside down, up with Deno up in Denmark has been out on his lever. Nice bit of pond action on the side there, Chris.
Sweet. Next up, Jonathan. He's out in Yorkshire. He's got 2 batteries, out for an epic ride on his Kenevo as well. Looking pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, closer to my home is Sarah has been riding a high bike out in the Forest of Dean. She's got a duck on the bars, acting as a camera person there. Meanwhile, down in Martigny in France, Jean-Pierre is in the Portail du Fully. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I've not been there before, actually.
What does Portail du Fully mean? Anyway, he's on his turbo, looking super cool.
Next up, Marco, Trek Powerfly, and he's got a Giant on the back of their BMW out in North Van, BC.
Right, which brings us to this week's podium bike vaulters. And I think, Chris, pretty impressed with Igor in Australia and his generations of bikes on the back of his car.
Isn't it? All
Isn't
the
it cool how they go small, medium, and large? Little bear,
bike.
mummy bear, daddy bear. Is it?
I think so, something like that. Second place is Fabricio on he's in northeast Mexico, and he's got his Levo as well. Look at that for a shot.
That's epic, isn't it?
Nice,
Absolutely epic. Lovely background there.
But in first place?
In first place this week, I think it's got to be Sven in Germany on his Powerfly, his Trek Powerfly LT7 with all those roots.
Wow, it does look cool, doesn't it?
Amazing. Good stuff, Sven. Actually, good stuff to all you guys for sending in your bike vault photograph.
And don't forget, if you want to get involved and get featured on the Bike Vault, hit the uploader service. Details for that are on screen now.
So that's it for this week's EMBN show, which has focused largely on tech. Let us know your comments on Doddy's selection of products this week. In the meantime, if you're going to stay with us, have a look at emoto versus eMTB, which we did in Croatia.
Yeah, and if you're out on your travels and you fancy hiring an e-bike, all the details for that are in this video here by Steve. That's a really cool one too.
Hire an e-bike on holiday.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash the globe in the middle to subscribe to EMBN. Whilst you're there, hit that notification bell to get a notification every time we upload.
See you next week.